Hi, I'm Jess Washington, CEO of the Dallas Weekly, and I'm sitting here with the amazing Beth-Ann Hardison. We are going to discuss invisible beauty today. Beth-Ann, thank you so much for speaking with Dallas Weekly.
Oh, thank you.
I really appreciate it. So I just want to get right into it. I had the opportunity to see your screening last night in Invisible Beauty. Very inspiring story. I want to start from the beginning, though, of how you decided to create Invisible Beauty. Because I know that we kind of saw in the beginning, you're like, I got to get on all these things. Did you get nudged in any type of way? Because traditionally, you're known to be kind of a private person. So this is a big jump from privacy to exposure, right?
I don't know. I think Leah makes people think that I'm so private. Listen to the film. You don't know much about her, I can say, well, that's her fault. No, I mean, I'm not so private. I mean, maybe in some way, but not so much so that I'm shying away, keeping it, But I think to answer your question in regards to Invisible Beauty, the actual Invisible Beauty, the title, had been started about maybe 10 years or more before, and I was doing it based on the industry. It was like an expose on the fashion industry and the model industry and what was happening there, how the girls and boys of color had disappeared, and the reason for it. So I was just trying to tell the story through three girls. I think the reason why I came up with the title, I don't remember how I did with Invisible Beauty, but I think it was because I was inspired by the book Invisible Man.
Oh.
And I think it made sense because the model of color had begun to disappear, so she became invisible. I kept the title even though the film went dormant for a while because I had a different director. We weren't fully funded at the time. He worked all the time, so we kept sitting on the film. And then along came the time. Of course, people would say, that's a great idea, but someone needs to do a film on you. And for me, there was no reason to do a story on me. I didn't see it at that time.
Right.
But eventually, when my former director and I started to talk again, I did let him know I think the film could be about me because it's an easier story to tell. It wouldn't have to be any yin and yang. I wouldn't be able to not even get the people who were guilty of maybe only
right
to tell me that, So I decided to go with. And so when Frederick came into my life, who was my co-director, he came in because of, him doing a little small piece for the CFD Awards. And he stayed in my life, but just communicating and talking every so often. And he too felt that it'd be great if the film was about me. So then one day, I needed him because I had separated from my former director. And I asked him about possibly doing it. He was very open to do it, but he said, I'd like to do it, but I like only if you would consider co-directing.
Got it.
And that's how Invisible Beauty, I kept the name. They wanted to change it to Beth-Ann. I was like, it's always going to be Invisible Beauty.
That's amazing. And let's talk about that movie process too, because, I noticed throughout the film, I was like, wow, they captured so many photos, videos of you on vacation around the world, like the archiving process. I wanted to ask, was that all you, or was it like a collaborative effort between friends and, like you said, former partners and things like that?
It actually was. I was surprised too that I had so much. I never thought there could be anything on me because I wasn't a print model. I didn't have like lots of pictures. People think, oh, you can do what do you call it? A picture size book or table copy table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, coffee table.
Yeah. Here you go. And I don't have that many photographs because I was not that girl. But I had started to Juliana Richardson, who heads the History Makers, had told me about where you're gonna put your pictures. No, where you're gonna put your things. Yeah, and that's it. When your archives for in an institution.
Right.
And I learned about that. I had never known about that before. So then I started to say, okay, I have to be wiser about this. And I started having my one or two assistants start to digitize what I had.
Like the tapes and things like that, right?
Then the photographs and all that. And then when this film thing came along, surprisingly, I had a good amount because he's a very organized young man that works with me. And the way he organized everything. So that's how we have that. There's only a couple of things that they had to reach out and get from people, like Issey Miyake, the work with working with Issey. But that was very easy because Issa and I like brother and sister. So of course he was so happy to be able to. They were happy to be able to send things. I think that the Toshiro Mifune, the samurai.
Right.
Yeah, we had clearances easy for that because of the way it falls in the fair trade.
I love that part too.
Yeah.
I was like, samurai was like that fierceness. Yeah.
He was everything to me, Toshiro Mifune. I grew up on a lot of Japanese cinema, and that was really, he was my inspiration.
That's amazing. They have this saying that your net work is your net worth. And there are pivotal moments within the movie where when you called people, they showed up. Wanted to ask though, have you received any backlash or lost any friends or people that you thought would be supportive or not because of your mission in this work for equality within the fashion industry?
Absolutely not.
That's amazing. That is so cool. I don't know why I thought that'd be a long answer, but
absolutely not. No, that was what's so great about me writing the letters and sending them out to the councils of fashion. It was like if I did a September 7th, the letter went out. I think we just had just ended Fashion Week in New York, but it went to London and Milan and Paris. No, the response was so fast in London, so fast, right? Because it was only a matter of weeks. They right away, they cast girls of color and boys of color, and it just changed so rapidly. So there are people who said to me at one point, a journalist said to me, "Oh, you're afraid you're going to get sued?"
This is right.
Sued for it's out there. I'm just repeating what's already in the press. If they're all right to show it, I'm all right to talk about it.
And my favorite part was like, you can't argue with the data, right?
Yeah, it's true. That's very
do the homework.
That's right.
Yeah,
we did a lot of that. Constantly checking and seeing and how many, so that when you really told the story, especially when I had to do the count, oh my goodness, I had to put certain people's. There was so many. I had to take some names off because it looked kind of crazy. But the point was made.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And my final question would be that I remember you mentioned often that you were kind of shocked at how many young people really reacted well and resonated, with the film and really enjoyed it. So has this energized you in any kind of way to do something else in the future? Maybe another movie, maybe...
The idea inspires you. And I just keep thinking, I've thought about this because I like the idea. I've always wanted to be a documentarian. In my mind, I was always a documentarian. I always wanted to make sure I was able to document, tell stories. And I wonder if I could do it again. I do something for sure. Like I say I'm going to do a one-woman show. That's live.
Right.
Me on stage, but talking to the audience. That I say I do. But I do think about sometimes, could you ever do another film? What would the story be? And maybe it'll just come to me. I know one thing, you'd want to have a really good producer. That's for sure, because it's a lot of work what they do. So that's it. But I really do, I at some point, yes. And maybe it is something that helps to speak more to the teenage generation.
Well, BethAnn, this has been an honor. You are an icon. Please keep doing what you're doing, because when I say you truly inspired me watching it, like I ripped my lashes off because I was crying so much. Yeah.
Can you tell me why you cry? Can you explain it?
Honestly, I just turned 40. We're both Libra women. I did look up the birthday. So I just turned 40. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm very intentional about the work that I do, and I want to make sure I'm impactful. Because for me, I'm thinking about death more. I'm thinking like every moment counts. Yeah. So when you brought up death in the movie, I was like, she's speaking to my anxiety. I did. And I started getting emotional because I feel, and I'm going to write this, that you basically did a movie that lays out the blueprint on how you should live life.
I've had women say that. Other women saying, God, look how free, look at you. And you move about. You don't seem to need someone in your life, and you do. Yeah, I've heard this a lot. That's why I love being on the road, because being on the road, you learn so much about yourself, because you're listening and going, "Well, I never thought of that," like that.
Right?
People think, "Oh, you reinvented yourself." I said, "I don't reinvent myself," but it looks like that when you see the film. It looks like she has this life, but she does this. Yeah, it's interesting. But I often ask people, because we're so surprised that people cry. You don't know when you construct something how it really comes together. You don't see it even the way it did because you're still in it, Morris. And so it's very nice to hear what people, but it's a common trait that people cry as well as laugh a lot.
I did that a lot too. Like the lady just kept it so real, and some of them I was like, I talk about white people like that too sometimes. That is not in the edit that out.
There was one young lady in my life. We had sent it to just a few people we wanted when we were still editing and making the film to see what they thought. And it was a girl who used to work with me, and she was concerned. She said, "You said you want to keep that part in, but you say, I want to kill white people." I said, "Yeah, well, I think they'll understand."
Right.
Because you could see the white kids that have, like my agency was a white kid agency. They could see that I'm all about, you could see the women who helped put me forward. But at that moment, it was like that.
Right.
And no one ever commented about it.
Yeah.
Other than to say that my son said that when they saw it in LA, a small film festival in LA, he said that, it was like a real black crowd because it was from the, it's called Bad is the name of the festival.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy I dedicated the film to, it was he started it. He really was part of the Panthers and all.
Mm-hmm.
So they had that other kind of audience where people talk to this and scream.
Yeah.
And my son said, when I said that, he said, everyone was like, yeah, and clapping. And,
because we have those moments.
Those moments. And that's what he said, my son said, yeah, but that's like, people could understand that that was at that moment when things were like, man, what are your people doing now? Yeah.
So thank you so much. If I can get a quick photo with you with the Dallas Weekly, and then we'll be out of your hair.
Yeah.